In this lesson, you're going to learn how to design a set of stairs, and more specifically find three items: the riser height, the amount of risers, and the amount of treads. So if you're going to actually lay out a set of stairs, those are all things that you need to know. There are also things that you need to have on the drawing so that the contractor building the stairs knows exactly what to build. So the very first step in finding those three items is to understand what the floor-to-floor height is. So the floor-to-floor height, where I have abbreviated here FTFH, usually that's going to be given. You're going to find that out from looking at your wall section, figuring out what the distance is from the first floor to the second floor, or in this example we're going to use a deck and the distance from the ground to the surface of the deck. So in this example we're going to design a set of stairs that will go from the ground to the deck level. So the very first part is step one: find a floor-to-floor height, and that is 28 inches, and that's given. So the very first step, we're going to just write that in here, 28 inches. Step two, we're going to divide the floor-to-floor height by the maximum riser height. And this number, the 7 3/4 inch, it's a suggested riser height. If we went by the building code, we could actually go higher, but whenever we go higher, we end up with a very steep set of stairs. So I recommend using 7 3/4 inch. And if you find that it's very close to that and you would actually have to move that up, you would have that ability to do that if you wanted to. Whenever we divide the floor-to-floor height by the maximum riser height, what that gives us is the total number of risers. So our floor-to-floor height is 28 inches divided by 7 3/4 inches. So if we use our construction calculator to do this, type in 28 divided by 7 inch 3/4, and that gives us an error. So we have to do 28 inches divided by 7 inch 3/4. The units cancel out whenever we do that, and we end up with 3.61 for the answer. 3.61. Now it's important to understand what you're actually finding there. Anytime you're doing any math problem, whenever you're dealing with the units, you can't lose sight of what you're actually looking for. So what that actually gives us is the number of risers. Whenever we take the total floor-to-floor height and divide it by a riser height, it's telling us that we would have 3.61 risers. So the problem is we can't have 6/10 of a riser. We can either have 3 risers or 4 risers. So we have to make a decision whether to round that number up to 4 or round it down to 3. So in this instance, we're going to round up to 4 risers. And I asked that question: if you were to round your answer down, what would happen to your riser height? So we can do that just to see. Put our calculator back up here, just so that you understand what's happening whenever you choose to round up or round down. We have the next part where we have 28 inches, and if we were to divide that by 3 risers, it would give us a riser height of 9 5/16 inches. So we don't have the option of rounding down because that's going to take us past our maximum riser height. So you're always going to have to round up in this instance, and that's the reason why. So if we move forward to step 4, divide floor-to-floor height by rounded number, this gives you the actual riser height. So our floor-to-floor height, again, 28 inches divided by 4 risers will give us the actual riser height. So 28 inch divided by 4, and it gives us 7 inches exactly. So if we had a riser height that was something other than 28 inches, that was not divisible by 4 evenly, we could end up with a riser height of 7¼ inches, 7 3/8. It's important to go through and use the construction calculator so you can find out what the actual inches are in fractional form. Because what this is actually going to be used for is we're going to give this number to the contractor, and then whenever they're laying out the steps, they have to know exactly what size the risers are. So whenever we move forward to number 5, to find the number of treads, all we have to do is we have to subtract 1 from the actual amount of risers, the rounded number of risers. There's always one less tread than riser. So we can look at our little drawing here, and we can see 4 risers. So I'm going to add, here's 1 riser, here's the 2nd riser, that would be the 3rd riser, and here is the 4th riser. So for that set of stairs we have 4 risers. If we look at the treads, we cannot count the ground or the deck as one of the treads. So the first tread is right there, the 2nd tread is right there, and the 3rd tread is right there. So you can see we have 4 risers and we have 3 treads. So we have found the riser height, which is, the riser height is 7 inches, the number of risers, which is 4, and we found the number of treads, which is 3. Then we can take that information and we can add it to our drawing. We can give it to the contractors and they can build a set of stairs exactly as we designed it.